Hello once again to another episode of Some Idiot Reads, where I'm Cy, and I'm some idiot, and I'm going to read some stuff. Now, contrary to what I think I might have said at the end of the last one, I'm not going to continue on the anarchism and other essays right this moment. Sorry. Mostly because, quite unexpectedly, it seems as though Coyote came out with another one of his dispatches that I kind of want to dive into and actually, read. I really don't. I wish that it wasn't something that had to be written, but I feel it's relevant and pertinent and will be good to go ahead and go through. So that's going to be a thing. I'm going to go ahead, just dive straight into this one. As always, please go visit Coyote Wallace's Medium page. Give him a follow. There we go. I always have to click into the window. But there he is. Give him a follow. Make sure you've got that. Join the 139. Be the 140th. You know you want to. And if you can, donate to his Ko-Fi. The link will be in the description of the video as usual. And I will point out at the end of the article where the Ko-Fi link is on the page as well. I highly encourage you, go to the article, give it a little clap if you enjoy it, leave a comment if you feel like doing that, and otherwise just engage with it. Go ahead, give the man some attention. He frickin' deserves it. But what we are going to go into today is the hell of House Bill 495. Now, quick prefacing element here. I have done a significant amount of keeping myself somewhat disconnected from a large amount of the current hellscape that is going on. Not because I believe that it needs to be ignored, quite the opposite, in fact. There's a lot that goes into that philosophically for me, for why I'm keeping myself kind of at arm's length in terms of like being clued into the regular news cycle and just the constant grind of hell. Ultimately, it comes down to trying to tend to my own mental self-care when it will drive me inordinately mad to focus and zero in on that. It does not mean I am not inclined to engage, obviously. But I preface on that because I am not familiar with what House Bill 495 is. So this will be a educating moment to me, especially considering I trust Coyote has done his research and I'm something of a fan of his phrasing for things. So let's dive on in. The hell of House Bill 495. And there we go. The mountains of Appalachia have long been my home, and in their shadows I have faced both trial and tribulation. This is a place of economic disparity, hardship, and a history as wild and bloody as any spawned by the Old West. Thick with crimes of greed to rival any big city town hall. A stretch of land, forest, mountain, and stream that invites challenge just as much as it does isolation. The dangers and threats to the people of Appalachia have come from all directions. Poor drinking water, dangerous work in the mines, gun thugs who didn't think twice before killing us, silicosis, and the crushing weight of poverty. Yet, despite all that, I've known victories in these mountains. I have felt happiness that would shame the angels of heaven, for surely they cannot replicate those moments. I have known great friendships, deep bonds of family, and even love upon occasion. Just as my people have known their joys, the end of gun thuggery and martial law, programs and efforts to lift up the poor and the downtrodden, schools built to save our children from the same grim fate in the mines that our parents and their parents fought to escape. My family has been in Kentucky since the early 1800s, And I, like so many others, am a direct product of the mingling and mixing of cultures in the coal camps. I, like so many of my brethren, carry with me the stories of those who came before, passed down through the generations. Tales of simple working men rising up to fight for what is right, and the terrible cost paid in blood and pain for doing so. We are one people, but we are not of one people. We are united by bonds that stretch back to a time of gunsmoke and coal dust in the streets. We are Appalachians, and before I begin today, let me tell you what that means to me. Our solidarity is not measured by any uniformity in our types or character. We are as different from one another as the land itself. If you travel to southern Virginia, you might meet the Melungeons. If you stand at the site of the Monongah Mine, you will find yourself among one of Appalachia's oldest Italian and Polish communities. If you listen closely, you might hear Olabelle Reed's voice carried on the wind. And if you venture to the edge of eastern Kentucky, you'll meet some mighty cantankerous folk whose ancestors were called Tinker Pinks by the gun thugs. Like all of America, we are all of different stripes, types, and everything in between. Follows as a picture, Louisville, Kentucky, 2010, showing a wide array of people. But one thing that we have in common, one shared value that transcends any difference that might be found, a belief not strange to the world, but in Appalachia, it carries the weight of hundreds of years of tradition. Family. Family is the bond that ties and binds in these mountains. There isn't a one of us who wouldn't run out of fingers and toes counting our cousins, aunts, brothers, and sisters. Large, sprawling families are as Appalachian as moonshine and coal mining. We will fight among ourselves, but when it comes to family, every Appalachian knows there ain't nothing you fight harder for than your kin. Speaking of that, what follows is a picture of the notorious Hatfields. I need that to be stated right out the gate. Because even as you read this, there are those who conspire to bring great torment to our families. Men steeped in hatred and fear, cloaked in the Holy Bible and draped in the American flag, who have decided they will bring a great scourge to our land in the form of conversion therapy for the youngest and most vulnerable members of the LGBTQ+ community. They hope to bring back the days of suicide, self-loathing, and treating youngins like there's something wrong with them just because of who they love. Well, you rotten, low sons of bitches want our sons and daughters? You think you've got the muster to make it so? You, who would pluck a rainbow from the sky and smear it with your filthy touch in an effort to stifle its shine, genuinely believe you'll inflict this upon our young. You think that will stand? You think that because nobody else will stand up to you for these kids, we will all be silent? My name is Coyote Wallace. This is the Dispatches from Appalachia. And today, we're talking about Kentucky House Bill 495 and the return of the vile practice of conversion therapy to the beautiful mountains of Kentucky. I will not be silent. Not now. Not over this. Fill your hands, you rotten bastards of low character. This is where I get to work. This is where the fight gets personal. A coyote's heart. If it comes as a surprise to any of you that I have a sprat, you can rest assured that it came as a surprise to me as well. I was racing towards the tail end of my 30s when I found out about Coyote Sprat, whose real name I shall not use here, at a time when I thought all my family was dead and gone. I had no one left in this world who shared my blood and cared for me, or so I thought at least. That all changed in an instant, and while it has not always been easy, I would not trade what I have found for all the book deals in the world. When I was a younger man, full of the vim and vigor of youth, I enjoyed a brief moment of popularity with the opposite sex. Coyote Sprat's mother and I partied hard. Perhaps a little too hard, considering she was married to a fella who wasn't exactly nice, and was too quick with his hands. I thought very little of it, for I was young, and romances flickered in and out of my life like mayflies on a lazy day. Then we got back together almost 20 years later, and she informed me of the Sprat's existence, and I was terrified. I knew very little about fatherhood, much less about being a father to someone who might not have wanted me to be a father to them. I feared that my absence, even if I had not known about the Coyote Sprat, even if she had been raised as a mother's child, would make her hate me. I feared that she could not possibly love someone like myself, with all my flaws and shortcomings and my tendency to lose myself in my work. What if she thought I was strange? What if she thought this whole writing thing was darky? What if she was ashamed of me? I cannot describe how hard my heart was trip-hammering in my chest the first time I stepped through her door to meet her and her fiancé. I do not have words for the type of relief I felt when she embraced me, when we spoke and discovered how much we had in common, how alike we were, and how easily we took to each other. I had not known a great many blessings in my life, and I feel confident that this was one of them, given to me, even though I surely did not deserve such a kindness from fate. What follows is a picture of Coyote Sprat in action, with a body, clearly a fierce claim. Or, enemy? I don't know. I'm going to move on. I'm trying to make something silly out of that, but, sometimes it flows, sometimes it don't. I have spent every day since then trying to make up for lost time, trying to be what I should have been, and doing what I can for her. On the long nights when I feel like I cannot write another word, when I cannot put another drop of ink on another page, all I have to do is think about the life that I can give her if I succeed at my job. For I am an Appalachian, and if my ancestors could venture into the dark of the coal mines to provide a better life for their children, then there is nothing I cannot do to provide a better life for her than the one she was given. And trust me, her life has not been easy. She has known hardship. She has known struggle. She has fought and clawed her way up every bit of happiness she can find, and, in doing so, she has proven time and time again the tenacity and grit it takes to survive in these mountains. She does not hide who she is. She does not make apologies for who she is. She does not run away from those who would take exception to who she is. She loves her partner dearly. They are good people, generous and kind of heart. I would do anything for her, my Coyote Sprat, and I cannot imagine what the last couple of years would have been like without her in them. I can't even dream of not loving her. My Sprat has told me stories of growing up gay in these mountains, of the cruelties and casual fuckery inflicted upon her and her love. I listen. I comfort as best I am able. However, with every one of these stories, a powerful fire grows in me, a flame that scorches and scalds every part of my heart that it touches. For I would not see her pained, troubled, or worried by any soul on this planet who thinks her less or wrong or some brand of sinful. She has told me of assholes who threw batteries at her when she came out. She's told me of landlords who jacked up the rent when they found out her wife wasn't just a roommate. She has told me of sneers and whispers that I am sure too many of you are familiar with. I would like you all to know, if I could, I would play the father and brother to as many of you as I could. And for those who ever find themselves needing that little bit of acceptance when their own families reject them, you may seek me out, and I will do my best to give it. But the Coyote Sprat is my pup, and I would pluck out all the stars and leave heaven blacker than a Fairmont deep mine for her. I cannot abide anyone trying to make the world hard for her, and I do not believe that any parent worthy of that title, from what little I know of the experience so far, could ever feel differently. We Appalachians look out for kinfolk. We watch over them. We protect them. And, if the situation calls for it, we will fight both tooth and claw for them. If you do not love your child because they are gay, there's nothing wrong with them. There's a whole hell of a lot wrong with you. So, all of you red hat wearing, low down, no good, spineless curs and children of the scabs, fill your fucking hands. Fill them up good. Make yourselves hard and ready, if you've got the pepper in your gardens. Stand up nice and straight, so we can see you, good and clear. You're about to get a history lesson, old son. A few words from those who will not be forgotten. I will not burden your eyes with the regurgitated bullshit that is the doctrine of most places that implement conversion therapy on their young people. I care little for their opinions, for their opinions are forged by ignorance and reinforced by ugly hate that has no place in debate or discourse. I do not debate fascists. I do not debate transphobes. I do not debate homophobic cowards in suits. Their logic is flawed, their hearts rotten with hate, and their minds clouded by perversions of the love supposedly taught to them in their good book. We will simply say that they believe homosexuality is a mental impurity that might be burned and boiled out of a body by means of pain, shame, and the teaching of self-loathing to children. The thought alone provokes violence in my blood. Many of them, not just the scam artist torturers who run these places, but the parents who fall for their bullshit, believe that homosexuality is a result of the modern era. That by teaching children to accept and love one another for who they are, regardless of differences or beliefs, they have somehow become confused and need to be straightened out. Of course, because they are morons, they overlook a little detail in that whole mindset. Our gay kinfolk have been here a long damn time. Longer than the Kentucky Wildcats, longer than bluegrass music, and even longer than King Cole himself. They are, by extension, part and parcel of our culture, too often unsung and unseen, but no less important for it. Their contributions, bravery, and willingness to hold their ground, rather than flee out west to safety, should be held in the highest regard, for none who would criticize them have half the sand or a quarter of the heart that they do. And, since so many Republicans like to position themselves as some sort of 1776 loving patriots, I thought it might be fitting if the very first names I mention on this brief trip through history were two Revolutionary War heroes, Robert Craddock and Pierre Tardivaux. God, I hope I pronounced that right. Follows a picture of Mr. Craddock's gravesite. Now, since I understand that most Republicans have only a passing familiarity with history that hasn't already been rewritten to include Jesus riding a dinosaur and Jefferson Davis being a hero rather than a cowardly piece of shit, let me explain who they were to you. Funny, ain't it? Some of the very people who built this country, who fought and bled for it, were men that you would have called an abomination. We'll begin with Pierre Tardivaux, who, in 1782, became one of the primary providers of supplies and furnishings for the Ohio Valley region, after successfully being one of the first men to navigate a flatboat from Spencer, Kentucky, down to New Orleans. He came to this country at the invitation and behest of none other than Benjamin Franklin himself, faced the wilderness almost on his own, amassed a small fortune, and even fought river pirates hand to hand on more than one occasion. What follows is a picture, Craddock and Tardivaux. It's a plaque. Russell was educated at the home of Robert Craddock by French Revolutionary War soldier Peter Tardivaux, who spoke 7 languages and interpreted political matters for General George Rogers Clark. Both Craddock and Tardivaux were members of the political club that petitioned for Kentucky statehood. During the war, Peter met and formed a deep romantic bond with Captain Robert Craddock, a decorated Virginia soldier who fought for the independence of his country and the freedom of his fellow man. He fought in several battles, was wounded at least twice, and was even taken captive by the British, feared dead, only to be reunited with his beloved after a prisoner exchange. Once the war was over, Captain Craddock retreated with his love to Danville, Kentucky. There, he and Peter went on to form the Political Club, which hosted lively debates and discussions geared toward improving the life in Kentucky for its people. They are directly responsible for many of the townships and borders that we know today as Logan, Mercer, Hardin, and Warren. Well, bad me. To put it simply, at one time, these 2 lovers were the most influential men in all of Kentucky. Indeed, they were there when the Constitution of our state was written. They were buried together so that they might remain with one another for all time, and no efforts by small men such as you will ever undo that or make it not so. Nothing you do. Nothing your hateful ideology does. Nothing your empty, vulgar prayers do will change that. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. What do you think a man like Captain Craddock would say to you lowly dogs who want to make life hard on gay children? What do you imagine he would prescribe as our remedy for the likes of you? You think he'd let you drag Peter off to one of your conversion therapy camps? You think he, who fought hand to hand for this country, would let you harm a hair on his head? I think he'd give you a little dose of a long rope, is what I think. And from the sounds of it, throw a hell of a party while he was at it. Don't think I'm done, you feckless shits. You sit your red hat wearing asses down and keep taking it. I'm straightening you out where it's bent. That's how your bullshit works, isn't it? Just gonna hold your eyes open and make you keep taking it until you realize the error of your ways. That's how it's done, correct? Maybe someone should dig up Mike Pence from whatever bunker he's hiding in and ask him. Shall I tell you of how Oscar Wilde came to Louisville, Kentucky, and was so smitten with the acceptance and nightlife he found among places like Hogan's Fountain at Cherokee Park, Old Louisville, Central Park, and 4th Street, that he described the whole city as, quote, large, beautiful, and full of fashion, end quote. That these spaces have, since 1886, been considered almost hallowed ground for the LGBTQ community as a result? What follows is a picture of what I'm pretty sure is Oscar Wilde. I honestly am not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure. Anyway, I'm sorry. For a moment there, I thought that Republican... Jesus. Okay, restart that sentence. I'm sorry. For a moment there, I forgot that Republicans don't know who the fuck Oscar Wilde is because they think J.D. Vance is a good author. My mistake. I beg your most humble apologies. I do forget myself sometimes. Screw it. We're already in the Louisville part of this story. Let's talk about Henriette Bingham for a moment. The Bingham family was once the richest family in all of Kentucky. And Henriette herself was the owner of the Courier-Journal right around 1923. She also raised horses. And when her family forbade her from traveling to London to pursue a female professor she was smitten with, Henriette did the only logical thing available to an incredibly wealthy woman being denied access to the person she loved by rich assholes. She opened one of the largest bookstores of the time, the Wilderness Road Bookshop, which quickly became a safe haven and gathering place for quote-unquote alternative-minded women. And what follows is a picture of I'm assuming Henriette. What do you think Henriette would have done if you lousy chicken shits would have told her that she needed to be subjected to torture in order to fix her? She'd have bought your mangy, corrupt political asses for what you're worth, and then sold them for what you thought you were worth, and she probably would have done so while wearing a very fashionable hat. Now, I know, a rich white lady from an old family of even older money isn't exactly anyone's idea of a perfect role model. So why don't we try the lovely, the charismatic, the one and only Sweet Evening Breeze? Sweet Evening Breeze was born James R. Herndon of Scott County, Kentucky in 1892. All Sweet ever wanted to do was help people. So they became an orderly at Lexington's Good Samaritan Hospital. She was also one of the very first drag performers in all of Lexington's history before 1920. A tireless activist, and, like so many before and after her, not a damn lick of fear when it came to cowardly bigots. What follows is a picture of Sweet Evening Breeze, circa 1950, and Slay Queen in that dress. Not Sweet Evening Breeze. Nope. She did not fear men of such little character and worth that they would pursue picking fights with children, like those who support House Bill 495. Renowned for her fearlessness, on the night of April 8th, 1970, the Lexington police arrested 4 queens, including one of Sweet's friends, 22-year-old Lee Angelique Garland Hanley, after police raided what is now the bar complex on East Main Street in Lexington for the crime of, quote-unquote, wearing disguises. Lee sought refuge at Sweet's home. Sweet was furious. She picked up the phone and called the judge assigned to sentence Lay. Lee? I'm going to keep with Lee. Maybe it's Lay. Damn it. Okay. Told the judge it was in his best interests to drop the charges. When you know it, he did. After that, Lexington police never again raided a gay bar under false pretenses. Lee and Sweet celebrated the date as Bastille Day, marking the moment they dismantled wrongful enforcement. Noted LGBTQ+ scholar Jeffrey Allen Jones once wrote of Sweet, quote, "Sweet was visible within white, Lexingtonian, society in few ways that African Americans of the period could be. They were generally accepted and embraced by the Lexington community at a time when LGBTQ+ and African American people were often not tolerated. Sweets frequently hosted and entertained in her Prawl Street home in Lexington and made regular appearances, as a cheerleader in uniform, at University of Kentucky football games, as well as other events. In addition to cheerleading and participating in events at the racially segregated University of Kentucky, Sweets also had many sexual partnerships with athletes that attended the college. Sweets often participated in Womanless Weddings, a theatrical event where an all-male cast performs the roles of a traditional wedding party. In these weddings, Sweets would dress in bridal wear, providing entertainment to her guests. She held these events during the 1930s in black churches located in Lexington and performed in at least three womanless weddings to University of Kentucky quarterbacks. There's not a single one of you who supports this law that is half as tough as Sweet Evening Breeze was, and I think you know it. I think you know it, and the act of knowing haunts you. Cowards. But let's not stop here. I'd hate for you to think that's all there is. What about the Gilded Cage, one of the oldest establishments of its kind, where the LGBTQ+ community could gather in peace and safety, predating New York's famous Stonewall by more than 3 years? This Lexington, Kentucky staple has been around in one form or another since 1939, and only changed its name to the Gilded Cage after a series of intrigues, backstabs, and ownership shuffles that would shame a whole season of Succession. Another plaque historic LGBTQ plus site. Oldest continuous LGBTQ plus gathering place in Kentucky, and among the oldest in the U.S. LGBTQ patrons discreetly congregated here as early as 1939. In 1963, the Gilded Cage Bar opened, run by gay men John Hill and Estill Wilson. Patrons enjoyed same-sex dancing and drag shows. The Gilded Cage has stood its ground against bigots, against fires, and against the very march of time itself to provide shelter and community for those who needed it. Now, what follows is a picture of the Gilded Cage, looking in full swing. Speaking of history, did you know that the very first lesbian couple to sue for a marriage license did so right here in the state of Kentucky? Marjorie Jones and Tracy Knight, in 1970, used their love as the flame that would ignite the fuse of all gay marriage in this country. They would have to wait a long time before they got their reward, their chance to be equal, their chance to have the same damn thing that each of us has and that these low men would have taken from them. They fought for their hearts longer than most of us can dare even imagine. And you would believe that such a love, one that endures as theirs did, is flawed or tainted, that there is a sin to be found in that love. You would correct them. Well, why don't you try to correct me first, old son? I might like it, but I sure as fuck bet you won't. Again, I say, every Republican who put their name to this bill should hide their faces in shame before they let their good lords see them in daylight. You don't even have the stones to go after adults, do you? You have to pick on children. You have to take on the weakest, because you ain't nothing but weasels pretending to be people. You know it. I know it. And those names above, they damn sure know it. I'm going to loop back ever so slightly in the article. There were two more plaques here. I just wanted to keep up the pace. Of the two plaques, Louisville Gay Liberation Front. In July 1970, the LGLF became the first org in Kentucky to openly advocate for gay equality. 17 young gay liberationists met in an apartment at 420 Belgravia Court, owned by the LGBTQ advocate Jack Kersey, to protest Jones and Knight's denial of a marriage license. The LGLF held marches and set up the city's first LGBTQ hotline and shelter, as well as a gay studies course at University of Louisville. Then second plaque, Jones v. Hallahan? I think that's right. In July 1970, Marge Jones and Tracy Knight applied for a marriage license from the Jefferson County clerk. Denied. Jones and Knight sued, taking their case as far as the Kentucky Court of Appeals. Despite an unfavorable ruling in 1973, their case marked the first lesbian marriage trial in U.S. history and helped inspire 21st century efforts that legalized LGBTQ marriage. The guilty, the gutless, and the dangerously stupid. Allow me to put faces and names to those who, in their petulant small-mindedness, would dare to build a world that brings even a moment's harm or sorrow to a child. Make no mistake, those who follow fully intend to use their vile methods against children. Children. Goddamned children. I say to you, children. The names and faces that follow are most likely beyond the reach of my taunts, my japes, and my jabs. They are enshrouded in cocoons of their own self-assuredness, warm and happy with the prospect of the woe that they shall inflict upon others. I will, of course, do my best to lay them low with the sharpness of my tongue, but there is no insult I could give them that will outweigh the stench of their own doings. Children. Men and women who propose harm to children. Men and women who, disregarding all science, believe in hurting children because they think their God wants them to hurt children to make them straight. Their names are as follows. I apologize. There will be a few. Former real estate tycoon, Senator Gary Boswell. Chairman of the Senate Banking and Insurance Committee, Senator Jared K. Carpenter. Elizabethtown Airport Board Member, Senator Matthew Deneen. Evil Quisling Methodist Doctor, Senator Donald Douglas. Toxic Avenger villain and CEO of a waste company, Senator Greg Elkins. Extraordinary Minister of Holy Communion and the Word, her own words, Senator Shelley Frohmeyer. Former self-employed insurance agent, Senator Rick Girdler. Managing Partner for Farmers Supply, Senator David P. Gibbons. Lawyer, enough said, Senator Jason Howell. Insurance salesman, Senator Scott Madden. Aunt Lydia in training, Senator Amanda Mays Bledsoe. Concrete and construction company owner, Senator Christian McDaniel. I'd like to note for every single one of those in the article, there does include the email address for each of their offices. Do with that information what you will. That is a comment from me, Sigh. Not my phone going off, but from me, Sigh, as far as this goes. But I think that's the intent. And these are just a few. The full list of these rotten bastards can be found right here, which looks as though that goes to a legal website for the House Bill 495. So feel free to go grab that one and do with that information what you fucking will. But I'm not done with you yet. I have one more thing to say. One more warning to give. And it's for those whose decency has been discarded. For you men and women who have proposed this vulgar display of your stupidity, who intend to inflict it upon our children, I beg you to stay your hand. I beg you to reconsider your course. I beseech you, on behalf of all that is good in this wicked world, turn away from this hateful path. Turn away now. Go feed the poor. Do any good work that you can find. Scrub from now until the day you die, and you might get the stain off your soul for even thinking this was a good idea. But only if you renounce this bill and walk away. Your bullshit will kill children. It will drive them to suicide. It will break their spirits in ways that cannot be mended. You, in your hubris, now provoke forces you are ill-equipped to deal with. With every tear spilled in your awful, contemptible, shameful, quote-unquote, therapy, those of us who resist you will only fight harder. To you parents who would consider sending your children to such a thing, you will die alone, forgotten by those children you betray. They will go on to forget the scars you inflicted on them. They will survive despite you. They will never forget your lack of acceptance. They will never mourn you when you die. They will find happiness with who they love, and there is nothing your impotent, flaccid posturing can do about it. The only thing you will convert is good, living children into cold, dead children. That is the only thing you will make with your obscenity. My daughter does not deserve to live in a world where you spiteful rat bastards can harm her. Your daughters and sons, Coyote fam, do not deserve to live in a world with such cowardly, disgusting excuses for human beings. And to those of you out there reading this now, those who had to leave their hometowns just to stay alive, those who have stood their ground in the face of every challenge, those who have shown their love, are shown with their love, that no force is greater than that love. Those who have walked the long miles down Struggle Road to be beside the one their heart desires. You do not deserve the wickedness these bastards have foisted upon you. You fight for the people you love. You protect them. You stand in the way of harm so they do not feel the scourging strike of hatred that you have known. This cannot stand. Kentucky House Bill 495 must not stand. Not for us. My race is nearer to run than it is to begun. Not for you, for not all of us get to rest in the shade of equality. Not when there is still fighting to be done, still freedom to be won. For them, for my coyote sprat. For the little kids, confused, with no one to talk to about it. For the teenager, scared to death that their papa won't love them anymore. For the daughter who doesn't know where she belongs, and for those who do not feel at home in their own skin. They are our family. They are our kin. They are our blood. They are our brothers. They are our sisters. They are our aunts. They are our uncles. They are our mothers. They are our fathers. They are our past. And they have earned their goddamn spot in the future. You shall not construct such vulgarity for your petty, spiteful God's approval. You will not harm one fucking hair on their heads. You will not cause one tear on their cheeks. Not one more kid in a coffin because someone poured poison into their mind. We must stand together against this atrocity. I beg you. Love is the only answer to hate. And if you try this, we will drown your efforts in our love. But there will be a reckoning. I hope I did you well, Sprat. Solidarity forever. For what it's worth from this side of the microphone, I think you did real fucking solid there, Coyote. And fuck a whole bunch of that shit. Fuck that shit in its entirety. Take care.